Today on the show, strategy plus action equals scaling intentional networking. Great coaches and consultants like you have the ability to change people's lives and transform entire organizations. And your impact can often go far beyond the clients you work with. One of the reasons I love working with coaches and consultants is because of that ripple effect. This show is here to highlight your expertise and empower you with resources and new ideas to grow your business. Welcome to Strategy in Action. Clay Hicks is on the show today, and we have a phenomenal conversation around this idea of not just being intentional with your networking. And yes, we both acknowledge that that's a very loaded word, right? But for us, we know how we come at this idea of networking and building an amazing group of folks, an alliance, if you will, to support one another. And Clay and I talk about this idea of not just, again, being intentional with that networking, but how do you do that in a way that you start a group that is intentional in the same way. And then even more difficult is scaling into multiple groups across the country. And it's just an amazing story of both how Clay got started with all this and what's really at the core of H7, the group he has. And it's just phenomenal what he's built, because not only have I witnessed it, but I also hear from others on a regular basis how amazing H7 is for them. And, you know, they just rave about it, and it's so powerful. And you'll see why in this interview, because everything that is at the core of H7, its values and how it's structured and why it's structured that way, all of that comes out in this interview with Clay. I'm so impressed with him and with what he's built. All right, let's jump in. Clay Hicks, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Jason. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. This is gonna be a blast. I've had enough conversations to know that the people need to hear you, and then we're gonna have a blast talking about the stuff that you're doing right now and have been for a few years. And heck, I'm so impressed with everything that you've built with H7 and everything. And I gotta tell you, just the testament to your network of networks, I'll say a little bit, is every interaction that people have with me of, so have you heard of H7? And I'll be like, yeah, I've heard of it. Like, I want to get their feedback. Like, they don't know that I know you or anything else. And they're just like, it's the best one out there. It's the best thing out there. You got it. You'll do this. So over and over again. And there hasn't been one of those like negative ones. There hasn't been a, like, oh, it's okay, like, at all. I mean, and this isn't blowing smoke. If there were horrible ones out there, we wouldn't be doing this part of the interview. I'd just be like, yeah, so tell me about H7. That's how that would go. So I got to tell you, I'm impressed for sure. And so what? Who better to talk about this subject that we're going to get into today, which is this idea of not just, networking. We can all kind of jump in and do our own thing, but really scaling intentional networking. And all of those words are very, very purposefully in there, because it's a reflection on what you're building and what you have built with H7. And I'm excited to dig into a lot of that. There's some juicy bits in there to dig into. But give some folks some geography, though, with H7, with you, what led you to that, and an overview of what H7 is fully.
Yeah. So we'll start with this. So H7 is a B2B networking platform for you to come in to the community to train and to learn how to or apply techniques that enable you to build your business by word of mouth more predictably. And that's really what it is, summing it up. We're celebrating 15 years this month that we've been in business. And
Wow.
started in Cincinnati in one of the suburbs so long ago. And we have literally scaled to where we are today. So from just being in one metro area in Cincinnati to 12 states over the last 15 years via word of mouth, and champions that relationships that I have champion relationships with, and haven't done any of it on my own. I refuse to do any of it on my own at this point because I enjoy the trusted relationships that are around me in the community that I work with and that I serve. And so really without them, without those champions, without those relationships that I have, we would not have been able to scale the way we have. And so, yeah, that's the geography. Like, for example, we're getting ready to open up in Phoenix and Minneapolis and LA and New York City. And we started in Cincinnati. And so we have meetings in Cincinnati, Dane, Columbus, Indy, Cleveland, Austin, Texas, Houston, Texas, Rapid City, South Dakota, Detroit. And that's all by scaling intentionally via the community of word of mouth marketing and the great relationships that are around me.
And I want to dig into that specific aspect of on the hows of some of that too. But I'm gonna round out this picture of the dynamic. And so I imagine that the geographic aspect of these is still relevant because of the people in the group doing business in a local way, right?
Yes.
That's kind of the...
Yes. So somebody made an introduction to me in Denver. The gentleman has a local network in Denver, or the female professional also at wherever they're locally at. So geography 100% plays a role. The type of person they are played a role. The type of professional they are played a role. And then the ability to earn trust in that marketplace played a role. Now, it was never there. So the trust, physically. And so spending time and finding trust in those geographic areas was really played a big role.
Yeah, because I think, there's plenty of professions and all of that can, work globally. And you've got folks in H7 who can serve anybody. So they hop in different areas and things like that. But there really is there's so many professions and careers and everything that, still rely on that local aspect. So that makes a lot of sense. So let's dig into that aspect that you brought up of building trust. And it goes back certainly to intentionality, but how do you do that in a way that doesn't just, it just happened. We happen to be, maybe that can start for a little bit, but not across to this scale with this many people.
Yeah. So in 2018, we developed this tenet called Connect, Serve, and Ask, which are the three fundamentals to intentionally earning trust while building like and know. And our members get certified on this Connect, Serve, and Ask certification. Okay. And so how you intentionally earn trust is, of course, the next level down, or how you do it is to serve. The magic behind it is to serve them where they are, not where I am. And so intentionally focusing on serving others where they are instead of where I am has made a significant difference in my ability to earn their trust, earn credibility, and take it from there without an expectation that they're going to earn mine. Yeah.
And that's a true, like I'm putting it out there. Like, doesn't matter the other person. I can't control that. Right. But define that aspect of serving them where they are. a little bit more, or how that manifests itself?
Yeah. So it really comes down to being curious about that other person, what their needs may be, the support they may need as being a professional, who they want to meet, who their target clients are, do they need help in business? Those kinds of questions lead you to being able to respond intentionally where you are to be able to serve them. So, for example, okay, Jason, very simply, if I asked you how I could help you, you may say, well, making this up, of course, I want to fill my podcast with high quality people, professionals that want to be on my podcast. And of course, there must be an intentionality behind it. And I asked you the question and you answer. And so then I'm going to take that somewhat, I'm going to on purpose think about who may fit that bill. And then instead of waiting on, you're out of people to do the podcast with, how about I just help you fill the pipeline with who you want, and then you can then decide who you want to be on the podcast, right? And so filling that pipeline full of who you want to meet, I take that very, very serious as part of my purpose in life. And so that also plays a role. And so I feel obligated because you told me where you need it to try to serve now and take action on that.
It occurs to me too, I want to make sure that we highlight this aspect of the dynamic in H7 as well. Some of the rules and no rules that do make it so appealing as well. I'm taking for granted. I know some of these, so I want to make sure the audience is fully aware of the structure of these. When you sign up to H7, unlike some of the others being, whatever out there, the other networking groups, and they all have their place and they're different things. I've, been frustrated by some and fine with others and all of that. But the constraints that are there with some of those that aren't with H7, I want to make sure we highlight because I think it's strong, So give us that, paint that picture, if you will.
Yeah. So whereas some groups, right, wrong, or indifferent, that's their choices, just like they're my choices. They rely on certain aspects of the rules to be their culture maker. So, for example, if I belong to a group where I'm expected to and have rules behind bringing referrals for other people, then in order for me to stay in that group, I must do that, right? Or there is some matter of, or you're out. Whereas in our culture, we rely on personal responsibility and mindset and training and techniques to support that culture. So our culture says, we're going to lift you up, unite you, and Clay take no credit to support the culture of this level of personal responsibility that says, Jason, if you want to be successful in this community, here's the pathway to do so.
So look at it as the desire for the same end result.
Yes.
But which do you want to be a part of? Like, to me, I don't want to be like, I'm an adult, right? Like, I don't want to be treated like the elementary school kid that's like, you show up at this time or this time or this time. Well, no, I'd rather be a part of something that it's just, I want to do that. I want to have that same intentionality to connect and help people and all of that, but not this weird, strange pressure that if, oh gosh, I didn't meet someone this week, I'm out of the group, kind of aspect. And I understand the rules of it, just like I understand rules of a public school system that is maybe broken. Like, the reason they're in there is because you're thinking like, okay, how do we get the masses to act a certain way? But you've proven the model that is Well, you develop the culture first, and the culture will bring about that outcome, right? Because you're going to feel it if you're not carrying your own weight. Number one, you're just going to be inspired to do so from being in the group, but also you're going to feel it, and you're going to the results will happen if you don't show up. But it's just great culture of just wanting to, and then especially if that training is there as well, to like, here's what we expect, but this is also for you. This isn't just to like come in and be a cog to help the group. This is for you to succeed in this group. And I think right there is the massive difference of, here's this other group, here's what we need from you for us to succeed. And in age 7, here's what we need from you for you to succeed.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's huge. And then, little wacky things in other groups of, well, there can be one insurance person, there can be one video person, there can be one, eliminating, a lot of that stuff too I think is very helpful.
Yeah. All while there's actually 4 of those types of people in the room, but they're chosen to represent one.
I'm interested in a little bit of the origin story of getting that started in Cincinnati, Ohio, but also, I guess, what taught you or guided you to this very intentional version of it, and whether that was day one, kind of started that way, or evolved into it. What gave you that mindset?
Yeah. So, funny story. When I started group, I didn't have this mindset. I started from, so basically why I started and why I still do it is 2 different things. So in 2014, in the summer, I had the group and the organization for 6 years, and I was about to get married. So the true story is that I had been a single parent for 7 years at this time, raising 2 little girls by myself, full-time, full custody, all the things. And my life changed. And now I'm going to get married. And now I have 3 wonderful bonus children that I'm bringing on. And my wife at the time, my wife that I'm with now, still today. And I was at a crossroads, honestly, right? To be transparent, I was at a crossroads, like, because of the amount of revenue and the business I built at the time, it was cool for 3 people. It was cool. And, all these things were great. But you have this new bonus family coming in, and I feel responsibility to that. And I feel responsibility to cherish and love and be responsible for. And I had a deep conversation with my wife about what to do. And, we decided, okay, well, I probably should start meeting with people more intentionally, because I was not meeting with people very often back then. I would kind of just wait for them to meet with me. I know you've met those kind of people out there, right? Like, you see these people, but they never ask you to meet or whatever, like the one-to-ones and stuff. And so I did a 180 and said, all right, I'm going to start meeting with people and let's see how it plays out. And I started meeting with people in August of 2014, extremely intentionally. And this paved the way to change and evolution to be where we are today, that moment in time. And so now, I can tell you all the things that come of it, but the main thing is right now I'm going to podcast with you, and I promise you that's where it came from. That's where it all. And so our expansion,
that one decision and
one choice and commitment, resilience, tenacity to do something. And while I still carry that now it's in the form of my purpose in life that came out of it. All these things came out, connect, serve, and ask, expanding across the country, the great relationships that I have. My gosh, all of them stem from that. Everything in my life stemmed from that moment in my life.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, it's one of those I imagine it's one of those things you look back on, and it's almost scary to think if you hadn't done it, because it's so integral to your life right now.
Well, yeah. So like when the pandemic hit and I had to figure things out, I mean, I got real intentional again and doubled down on that intentionality in July of 2021. Had to double down on that. Like, oh my gosh, if I don't do something, I'm going to go out of business. This is all I know. I don't have a college degree. I don't have this. I don't have that. All these things I don't have. But the one thing I did have, two things I had, is my faith and desire to change the future for myself, my family, my wonderful relationships in my life, and got even more intentional in July of 21.
I love that. And I really wanted to wrap this around this idea, because it really is intentional networking. And I think anybody's listening this far, they understand that and they know what that means, that context. Everyone brings their own baggage, good or bad, to the word networking. For me, it's a phenomenal word because I've built my life around connecting, and that's oxygen and juice. And so I have a very positive connotation to it. Some people are just like, oh, that thing I go do when I need business, or that horrible thing because the people who are bad at it are there, and they've got paper cuts where business cards are thrown at them, like without even a conversation. We've all experienced, the gamut, I think, in there. But that's what's so fascinating. So there's several components here. There's intentional networking as just your individual. But like, here's what I want to do in life. I want to do this better. I want to meet with people. When you double down and you're just like, I know there's something to this connecting and just meeting with people. Something's going to come of that. There's that aspect. But then there's a little bit broader. Okay, I'm gonna run a group this way, and make sure that that's shared. And everyone in the room, every week or every whenever, they know that and they feel that, and it's going to be a room full of people. But then it's a very different animal when now there's a group I'm not in that's going to be this as well, and we get to that aspect of scaling. How do you start with that in terms of, all right, let's see, is it getting even more intentional with, okay, I know how I operate, but let me get it on paper so I can convey that to someone else? Is that part of like that step one?
Yeah. So, yes, but of course, like any other thing I've done in my life, anything that was successful, I had help. Right. And so, Connect, Serve, and Ask turned into our values, okay, and expanded our values, and there's 7 values, okay, which happens to be the same 7 pillars that stands for H7. That's what H7 means, H hub for 7 pillars. Well, those 7 pillars are the 7 values, and so everything comes from that, okay? So when you look at those values, everything is around how do we create the end result of that scaling. And so so the vision, and then bring it back and start working through the values until we have cleaned up every part of the program, all the programming, all the things around those 7 values. So we picked a nexus center point of all the things that we do, which is ask. So everything comes from that one simple ask. So simplified it down to that moment of time. So when somebody asks for something, they give us an industry, and then all the dominoes begin to fall from there inside of the culture. So the end result is taking the individual last member that joined and what they asked for, and then pulling it all the way back, and then we can scale off of that ask is the best way for me to describe it in the words that I think I can say.
Because that center point, that asking is involved in every other aspect of what's going on there. Whether you're asking for help, you're asking what that person needs, you're asking how you can serve. Am I getting that?
You are. Yes, you are. So whatever you're asking for is what you're going to get. Ask, you shall receive. Ask, you shall receive. And so ask well. So ask well.
I love it.
Yeah.
And but that's what you teach too. And what's so fantastic, because so many of us, you know, we end up in a group like this or something, and we've, you know, been in business, we kind of done some things, and if we haven't learned that intentionality and the results of actions, the results of showing up consistently, results of asking well, we, just like a lot of other human skills, right? Like, oh yeah, I know how to talk to people. Do you? Because
seems like you're rambling a lot. Seems like you're rambling a lot.
Yeah. You're just like, you know, yeah. And it's like, you can say words, but is the other person getting it, right? You can say that you listen to people, but do they feel like they've been heard? Like, these are skill. And I love that definition and that teaching that goes on when it comes to asking, because that, I mean, we can use that in every aspect of our lives, you know, well beyond just business and a networking group.
Mm-hmm. Well, think about it, Jason. Most humans, they have many different struggles. But there is this one struggle that most of us are faced with, which is asking for help. Now, when you let that sink in, like asking for help, when was the last time I asked for help? And so when you think about that, even as an entrepreneur, somebody who works 40-hour work job, it doesn't matter. Asking for help is crucial to your success. Right? Even the guy or the gal working at the job 40, 50 hours a week, you know, they have to improve themselves. They have to grow. And one of the very first steps they need to grow is asking for that help to be able to grow, because we are very limited as human beings on what we can do alone. So we have to ask for that help.
That's so interesting, because it really is like, I think in a very like high level way, you just kind of hear that in passing. It's like, oh, yeah, I know how to ask for help. But if you really stop and let that in as an adult, as a, like, what is, that comes with so much weight and judgment, self-judgment, mostly, of what does that mean if I have to ask for help? Yeah. I mean, what comes to mind immediately is I screwed something up to be where I am right now, that I need help in this. Like, that's the train of thought that happens. Yeah. And so then you have to peel back each one of those and to really take it as the empowering thing it is, that you're in a place where you're that self-aware of like, okay, here's where I'm awesome. Here's where I need help. I'm going to get better at this, or I'm going to hand this off, and we're all going to be better because of it. And whew, if you can, if you can make that kind of shift, your life can start moving really quickly.
Yeah. So think about serving, right? So serving others, that's difficult too. That is difficult too, because we have our own thing going on, right? And so to serve other people, to intentionally try to say, how can I help you? What can I do to support you? You starting to see a theme? Then connecting. The average person can connect, but can they connect well? Are they open to even connecting with other people? You notice the difference is this personal responsibility of ourselves, of breaking out of what our normal life or normal what we deem as normal, going around, living life, doing the thing, and we're doing it all by ourselves. But do we have to do it by ourselves? Well, we can connect with other people. We can try to serve them, and we absolutely can ask for help for ourselves. It's balance.
Yeah, and and they're so interrelated, especially with doing each one correctly, effectively. Because if you're serving just to avoid the asking, because you don't think you're worthy of actually asking for help, and so let me give. Well, that's not the right serving, right? And if it's other way around too, if you're serving just enough so you can make that ask, that's not right either. So they're all interconnected so well. I love that.
I use these avatars. So there is the pitch slapper, right? I mean, they don't, pitch slappers come in a couple forms, one of which is they just don't know what they're doing. They just don't know what they're doing. They've been taught this, and it's wrong. There's the self-sacrificer, the altruistic person, which is the one you just described, or partially described. So I'm going to help other people because that makes me feel better about myself. Then you got the people that just don't know what they're doing, and then you have the champion. The champion is a winner, and they don't win alone. They always win with others. And that brings this whole life living to fruition, where we're doing all the things to be successful because we have good people around us to make that work. That's what the champion does.
I love that, man. That's strong.
Thanks.
I love that.
Getting some philosophical stuff here.
Oh yeah, but that's the meat, and those are the things that honestly they manifest themselves into what you've built, and that feedback that I talked about at the beginning of the show. That's why that comes in. I've talked to people who have been in other groups, and even when they're not bashing, like, oh yeah, I was in it for 7 years, it worked for me, blah, blah, blah. They still don't express what people in H7 express to me, which, oh, it's the greatest. It's the others are, oh, I got some business from it. In fact, I learned this or that. There's everything that you just described and what everyone, I hope, has felt coming from you. Like, that's what people give to me when they talk about H7. And so how are you maintaining that across, as we're talking about scaling this intention that you have, and what's next? What are those next steps that are happening?
Honestly, Jason, to me, it's a repeatable process of good living. And so, like, for example, there might be other entrepreneurs that say, well, so I'm going to scale across the country. I need all this money. I need all this marketing in order to do the thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm not talking about that. However, my purpose in life, how do I maintain it? Well, I have my purpose in life clear. I need to take care of myself mentally, spiritually, physically. And I have to maintain that. And I have to maintain my relationships, which is like very, very important to me. In order to scale, there's timing, there's word of mouth marketing. Somebody finds out about it. I mean, we just are expanding to Phoenix, and within a couple of weeks, somebody says, hey, I want you to meet this person in San Antonio that might be interested in the same thing. I mean, how do you do that? It's me being the same and having the reputation and maintaining that reputation in order to do that. And of course, the result of that is great relationships, and to scale intentionally, essentially, if I could sum it up, is to maintain yourself and your principles and your values, and the rest will kind of take care of itself.
And communicate those things too, right? Again, it's the asking, it's the connect, it's coming back into that and make sure that those are the things you are maintaining, right? Like people are aware of why H7 is what it is, and they want, I want to be a part of that, not just as members, but I want to open one here, and here, and it's interesting too, because it's, if folks try to take this lesson to other industries, to other, completely different endeavors, it's probably not the things they go to immediately, or they certainly that we hear about very much, which we hear the tactical, right? In terms of, we need, like you said in the beginning, we need this kind of budget. We need this is, and again, all of those are things to do that, may make it go faster and all of that. But if you don't have this core, everything you just described, the other things don't work. They're hollow, right?
Yeah, they can be. I mean, imagine like scaling across the country, and then how many times have we seen these bigger entities fall apart because the reputation of the CEO was he was doing some, or she was doing some they should not have been doing, and ruin their reputation. So connect, serve, and ask is my reputation. It is what I do. It is who I am, and it has got to be disciplined at it. So yeah, maybe I won't grow by 20,000 members a year. And like, that's not part of, that must just not be part of what's supposed to happen. I'm okay with that. Discipline is very, very important to that, sticking to it, being on solid ground. I mean, that matters.
I love this. Who's out there that needs H7 in their life? Who's out there and needs to reach out to Clay or any of these other ways to connect?
Yeah. Would love to connect. If they want to do a one-to-one, they want to see everything, that's cool. Whatever we can do to support them and their growth, so I can connect, serve, and ask them.
I mean, I know it's just across the board in terms of profession and industry and all of that. I'm hard pressed to think of someone who shouldn't, like it wouldn't work for. But
yeah. So who I typically ask for are fractionals or outsourced C-level and consultants. I mean, those are pretty simple, relatively speaking, to ask for. And most people know a consultant, and most people are, watching this is going to know a fractional or an outsourced C-level. And it's a ripple effect off of that. Of course, we love working with any B2B professional or B2C professional if they want to do something in person.
Fantastic. Clay, thanks so much for being on, man. This is awesome. I love what you've built and put together, and it's great to hear your description of it, like at its core.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Thank you, Jason. I don't know if I've ever been able to share it like that before, so I really appreciate the opportunity and to be able to spend time with you, and I really appreciate that.
And we'll see you all next time. Thanks so much for tuning in and being a part of this show. If you want help creating authority-building video content or even a client-generating show of your own, go to MediaLeadsCo.com and let's connect. I'll talk to you soon on the next Strategy in Action.
This show is powered by Media Leads. To get your next great podcast produced, go to MediaLeadsCo.com.